Jenna, thank you. We're now looking ahead to what looks like a heat wave next week. And tonight, concerns about air quality and the impact of extreme temps on people taking certain medications.
Western Mass News reporter Reagan Stoddard joins us live in studio after getting answers on what we should know. Reagan?
Chris and Abby, we are potentially going to see several days of temperatures reaching into the 90s. I spoke with some locals about their concerns and took these concerns to local doctors.
In hot weather, people are just trying to stay cool and hydrated. This week into next week, Springfield cooling centers are open to the public. Western Mass News visited Raymond A. Jordan Senior Center in Springfield, where we heard some concerns.
I know some friends talk about the asthma problems with that they always worry about.
We asked Dr. Sunny Shukla, Chief of Emergency Medicine at Bay State Health, to point out possible concerns with the hot weather. He points out the following. Allergens in the air can cause those with COPD or asthma with respiratory issues. Hot temperatures and humidity can trigger COPD and asthma attacks. And people with COPD and asthma should have inhalers ready during hot days. He also explains that staying hydrated is key.
People should really be observant of drinking sports drinks, because when you're just only replacing with water, you're not getting all the electrolytes that you need to get replaced. So having a sports drink is important.
And Dr. Shukla says certain medications can cause dehydration, which can be dangerous in the heat.
Well, I think a lot of the cardiac medications, potentially like diuretics, which make you void a lot more, pee a lot more, can potentially make you more at risk for dehydrations.
Over at Forest Park in Springfield, we found Maria Vilas enjoying the warm day and talked with her about concerns she has with the potential heat wave ahead.
I'm concerned about the night because it's difficult to sleep, and then during the day we're gonna be exhausted.
And Dr. Shukla says it's important to plan ahead and help others if you can.
People should be aware of where their cooling centers are at. Check on your neighbors, check on your friends, because when it's hot outside, not everyone has access to the same things all of us have.
Again, with the high temperatures, you'll want to stay hydrated, avoid being in the sun for long periods of time, and apply sunscreen. Reporting live in studio, Reagan Stoddard, Western Mass News.